Right, so let's be real here. This sucks, but it is also really epic. Michael Bay helmed the Transformers franchise from 2007 to 2017, and let's be real, it started off decently, introducing a new generation to the 80s smash hit franchise. However, after the first film, Transformers became a laughingstock since people ended up watching it for mindless action, and to see someone actually invested in it was just a huge joke. And then along came Travis Knight with Bumblebee in 2018, and let's just say,
They broke into the front lines!
I've lost contact with the capital!
Too many of them! Stand back!
he nailed it. But the bar wasn't that high to begin with anyway. Bumblebee is by far the best Transformers film, but that doesn't mean it is without its problems. People who love this film often mention the Cybertron scene as the reason it is great. I mean, yeah, it's good, but people seem to forget there is another hour and 3/4 of this film. This film showed the general audience that Transformers doesn't just have to be constant action, and the audience responded pretty well. Now, after watching Bumblebee, I thought to myself, I could make a pretty good Transformers universe. So I did, and this is what I got. Now time to show off the key players in the saga. On the Autobot side, we have Optimus Prime, Hot Rod, RC, Ultra Magnus, Bumblebee, Elita 1, Ratchet, and of course, Wheeljack. On the Decepticon side of key players, we are going to have Megatron, Soundwave, Shockwave, Starscream, Knockout, Devastator and the Constructicons, and Blitzwing. It's probably just worth mentioning these are the key players, okay? There are a lot more characters in it, but these are the ones we're mainly going to be following, okay? I'll bring up some of them later on. Megatron will be the first film in the universe and will establish Megatron and a few other characters' origin stories, such as Optimus Prime. This film will be one of the very few times in this saga we will see Cybertron before the war broke out. We will see Megatron's rise to power and the 13 original Primes attempt to take him down. This film will also deal with Dark Energon to help set up a plot point later on. Yes, Hot Rod is going to be getting a film before Optimus. Shoot me, I dare you. This will be set like a month or so into the Cybertronian Civil War. It will be a lighter tone than a lot of these following films. In this film, we will see how the war is affecting someone who is a late teenager slash early adult. It will be kind of like how in World War One people lied about the kids lied about their age to go fight in the war. This is kind of what Hot Rod is going to be during this film. It will also set up a rivalry between Hot Rod and Knockout. It will also establish a long-lasting relationship between Hot Rod and RC, who have been together for years by this point. By the end, Hot Rod will learn to never give up hope and keep fighting, no matter the cost. Finally, we give the main man his own film, and it will be a young Optimus struggling to be a leader. The main villain here shall be Megatron. Optimus will get into a third act battle with Megatron, and it will be a very boots on the ground gladiator battle. Very raw. Optimus will hold his own, but it's very obvious that Megatron is winning. The pair get split up by a third party intervention, then Optimus understands that he will need to at least act like he has himself together to help inspire others into this battle against a seemingly unbeatable being. Due to the events in the plot, a post-credit scene will show Cybertron's core destabilizing. A small team film where we finally get to see a glimpse of Earth, and this inspires Wheeljack to create the Dinobots, since he believes that they are the apex predator on Earth at the time, and Cybertronian versions of them could assist on Cybertron. This will be a heartwarming family film of Wheeljack essentially learning to be a father. He will begin the film as this ruthless, cold man, and at the end of it, he will be a different person. He will be a father, a loving father. After this pretty harmless film, to be honest, a post-credit scene will show Cybertron's core breaking it apart and causing some strange effects. This film will follow the Cybertronians' realisation that the planet is in an irreversible state. Shockwave will be obviously the centrepiece of the film and will inform Megatron of the planet's impending doom. Megatron commands that a ship must be built to get all the Decepticons off the planet before it dies. Shockwave in one scene will be kidnapped by a deep undercover Autobots, which involves Bumblebee. This will be his debut scene. In this scene, the Autobots will find out about the Decepticons' plan to flee the planet for their own survival. Optimus Prime received this information and orders that the Ark must be built due to the dire condition of the planet. Shockwave will escape the kidnapping and kill everyone on the Autobot team apart from Bumblebee, who gets away. This will then make Bumblebee a much darker character than what we're accustomed to. This will be the big epic blockbuster which brings all characters together. Wheeljack ends up managing to create a portal to send everyone to Earth. This film will take heavy inspiration from the third act / final mission of the 2012 video game Transformers: Fall of Cybertron. The film will end with both faction ships crashing into the portal. The end credit scene will have the Decepticon ship crashing into the ocean and the Autobot Ark crashing into a mountain. And when it crashes, we will see a small teaser for Beast Wars. A Beast Wars film will kick off this new phase and will have the Beast Wars characters battling as to whether or not to reawaken the Cybertronians from the crashed ships, since it would mess with the time flow. A film following a transforming Cheetah as he has to take down Waspinator, who has been possessed by Starscream's ghost. Okay, this will be heavily influenced by the TV storyline. In the end, we get a tease of the future with Starscream mentioning Unicron killing him in the future. In the end, Cheetah will learn to slow down and realise not everything has to be done at 120 miles per hour. Galvatron and his co-workers arrive on prehistoric Earth in the name of Unicron to prevent the Transformers from reaching his future by getting the Golden Disc. The Cybertronians and the Beast era characters team up and take down Galvatron and his Seekers. The final battle will be Megatron and Beast Wars Megatron fighting Galvatron and only just holding their own against him. Hot Rod will come in and be a distraction so that the Megatrons can destroy Galvatron. All of the Beast Wars era characters travel back to the future to their utopia Cybertron and imprison all of the Predacons away. However, Megatron gets free and sneaks his way to the Allspark. He links up with it and changes the genetics of all Cybertronian life to become techno-organic. He then proceeds to rule over Cybertron. In the end, Optimus Primal has one last stand with Megatron in a truly epic final battle. An origin movie which will see the origins of the 13 original Primes and how they managed to battle and defeat Unicron. This will also demonstrate that without the 13 original Primes, all Cybertronian life has no chance of beating Unicron. He emerges on 1980s Earth and the film will follow the Autobots adjusting to their environment, meeting the world's leaders and making themselves trustworthy in the eyes of the world. The villain will either be Lockdown or Bludgeon. Optimus will ultimately defeat them, then they will be accepted by the world's leaders as an ally. A movie set on Earth where the Autobots and Decepticons would have a gigantic battle which ends with Optimus Prime being forced to fatally wound Megatron. The Decepticons will retreat with Soundwave asserting control of the Decepticons. Starscream will go behind Soundwave's back and start a mutiny against him, and Starscream successfully overthrows Soundwave as leader. Soundwave barely escapes with his life, however, and needs to be repaired, similar in condition to Megatron. The Autobots report back to the military while carrying Megatron to them. Later on in the film, Megatron and Soundwave will randomly teleport away with no indication as to where. We then learn that Unicron has taken them both, and they all strike a deal which results in Megatron becoming Galvatron and Soundwave becoming Sound Blaster. The film would then follow Galvatron as he travels back to Cybertron to collect the original 13 Prime's weaponry. The film would end with a giant final battle of Galvatron and Sound Blaster fighting Shockwave and his Minicons to get the Prime's weapons. Then Shockwave will be killed, and Unicron will remake him as a slave, taking the name of Cyclonus. Galvatron will infuse with the 13 Prime's weapons, and we leave the film on a cliffhanger of the power he has. There will be relationships problems with Hot Rod, and that's going to be a side plot in this buddy cop film with RC teaming up with Cliffjumper. The main villain would be Arachnid. What can I say? It's a buddy cop film. It's a fun time with some dark themes. Cliffjumper has to die at the end though. A film where he finally feels fulfilled. He tries so hard to be the leader of the Decepticons. We will also learn why it's extremely hard to kill Starscream. It's actually admirable the job Starscream does with his power to all the tortured souls in the Decepticon ranks. However, his leadership is short-lived. At his coronation at the end of the film, Starscream is less than an inch away from getting crowned the new official leader. However, the coronation is cut short when Galvatron, Sound Blast and Cyclonus interrupt and kill several Decepticons such as the Constructicons, Combaticons and Starscream himself. Starscream will become a ghost at this point and will possess Cyclonus to send him back in time. Unicron comes to Earth with his slaves Galvatron, Sound Blaster and Cyclonus. The main goal will be to stop Unicron from getting the Matrix and leadership. The Beast Wars characters will travel back in time to the battle to help destroy Unicron. So the finale will be the Autobots, what remains of the Decepticons, and all Beast Wars characters joining together to fight Unicron. The goal of the Alliance will be to expose the heart of Unicron to the Matrix of leadership, whereas Unicron's goal is to destroy the Matrix so he becomes unstoppable. Jazz, Ironhide, Ratchet, Bumblebee and Ultra Magnus all die in the final battle. In the final act, Optimus will give Hot Rod the Matrix of leadership to trick Unicron, and because of this, Hot Rod turns into Rodimus Prime. Unicron will get a hold of the Matrix after Galvatron tears the Matrix out of Rodimus Prime's chest, along with killing Rodimus. RC will shoot Galvatron away, and RC will hold Rodimus Prime in her arms as he dies, and she is overwhelmed with emotions. Optimus Prime will be utterly hopeless and in shock, and all Cybertronians will stop what they are doing and just stand in shock. We then get taken into Optimus's head, where we get to see the source of all of Optimus's optimism. It's Megatron. We have a scene in Optimus Prime's head where he talks with Megatron, and Megatron says that you don't have to hold the Matrix leadership to carry the values of a Prime. Optimus Prime snaps out of it and rallies all of his Cybertronian followers for one final charge against Unicron. Optimus manages to get onto Unicron and Galvatron lands next to him. The final battle between Optimus and Galvatron finally takes place. Optimus defeats Galvatron, and with Galvatron on the floor, he finally snaps out of the control Unicron has on him. Galvatron embraces Optimus and thanks him for freeing him. Galvatron fights to take down and free Sound Blaster and Cyclonus. Unicron transforms into his robot form and begins to smash down on Earth. Optimus makes it next to Unicron's heart. Galvatron successfully frees Sound Blaster and Cyclonus and heads back to Optimus, and because Galvatron is fused with the 13 original Prime's weapons, he manages to break Unicron's heart and kill him. But those weapons disintegrate and are no longer connected with him. There is an aftermath of the battle where we get to see the emotional fallout of all these war heroes and the damage to the living characters. The human race wants the Cybertronians gone from their world immediately, or else they will hunt and destroy all of them. The Beast Wars characters know they need to travel back to their time. The remaining Cybertronians decide to go with the Beast Wars characters back to their Cybertron. The Beast Wars characters mention how they only have one charge left since they only expect a round trip, and any more time travel potentially cause a universe-ending event. Galvatron, however, says he will travel back in time to hopefully be able to stop Unicron and this whole situation from ever happening again. After a long goodbye, Optimus shakes hands with Galvatron and says goodbye, brother. All the characters travel to their respective time periods, but when Galvatron arrives back in time with his two henchmen, all three of them start to relapse into being controlled by Unicron. However, they manage to overpower it, but they keep flashing in and out of control. The film ends with Optimus Prime looking out to the sunrise on Cybertron, and Galvatron explaining to his henchmen they need to go after the golden disc. So that's it. The whole three-phase story plan. There are a few things I wanted to do, such as kill off Optimus Prime and have Rodimus take over, but I thought it'd be more subversive and interesting for Rodimus to be killed within minutes of becoming a Prime, since every show and movie on planet Earth has killed off Prime. Now the thing with the pictures here is that majority of them are very vague, but the overarching idea would be to explore Optimus and Megatron's relationship and character, the same way that the Arkham games are about Batman and Joker's relationship. There are a few holes I can see in this idea, however with a bit more time, a bit more in-depth detailing of the films closer to release, I believe they can be rectified. There are a few characters I didn't mention, such as Blitzwing, simply because I haven't thought of their journey yet, and just because I didn't mention a character for a certain film doesn't mean that character won't be in the film. Anyway, bye.